Hello, I want to go over how to use the template for your character design project to make sure your work looks professional. I went over this in class, but I'm just doing an extra video so that you can see how this template works. And we're using InDesign for this because it is a professional level software. It allows us to have a very organized sort of look. And as a reminder, you can see the link to our template here. It's this one labeled in yellow, InDesign layout template. And when you click on it, it'll take you to a Google Drive file and you will download the full file. Inside that folder, you will see a number of different files, and the one you want to use is the InDesign character template blank. In class, I went over the example. This has what it looks like when it's all filled out, but you'll be using this one here. So you'll double click on it and it will open up the file. And our goal, or your goal, is to import your different items for this project, your turnaround, your hero pose, standing pose, and 2 expressions, your lineup, your expressions, 3 for each character, and your silhouettes, with the information on the bottom of your sheet. And so to do that, I want to go over some of the basics of using InDesign. So here, this is what the file looks like when you open it up. So what I want to go over first is just how to maneuver around the canvas. So inside InDesign, it's the same hotkeys that you've used in Photoshop or Illustrator. But first I just want to set up and make sure we're in the same workspace. So you can go to the top up here and go to Essentials Classic. And mine's already set to that, so you won't see anything, or Window, Workspace, and Essentials Classic. It just gives us a lot more information at the top here, and I can also close out that window right there. So Control or Command minus to zoom out, Command or Control plus to zoom in, and if say you're zoomed in all the way, you can do Control 0 just to space it correctly to your screen. You can also press the W key to give you a preview of what your site looks like, or what your pages look like without any of the boxes, although you can still select everything. And I'm just using the scroll wheel to scroll up and down. And press W again, so I can see my pasteboard and all of the stuff here. Lastly, without anything selected, if you press spacebar, that will give you the hand tool, which allows you to click and drag and move around. So again, that's the spacebar that allows you to move around. So first, how do we control or change the text? So I'm going to zoom in, press spacebar, move down here, and I can double click inside a text box to change it. So say my title is Animaniacs. If that's my title, I can then press Escape, top left of your keyboard, and that's going to give me the selection of this box again and allow me to then hold down spacebar and move around. If you are in here and you press spacebar, it's just going to make another space next to it. And then I can go over here and say character name, and this one is Slappy. And there's a turnaround, and then I could put your email, so example@kutztown.edu, and then your name, JR, right? And again, press escape to get out of that. Now, if you have a title that is quite long, so if I did Animaniacs by Warner Brothers, one thing you'll notice is my text disappeared. And if I zoom in closely, I can see that there's this little plus sign here. That lets me know that there's overset text. I'll also see an error down here at the bottom. I then have 2 options. One, I can click and drag and extend this out to match my text. So again, still having that button saying there was the plus sign. Now this is green, no errors. Or if I Control Z and undo those, if I double click on the little box right here, that's going to extend out my text to match my box. I can also double click down here and it'll snap down to the bottom. I left this a little bit bigger in case you want to change the font or the size. So you would go through and do this for each one. So notice there's a turnaround, hero pose, lineup, expressions, and silhouettes. And you would fill out each one with your specific information. You're welcome to change the font if you would like, just keeping everything consistent. And I'll show you that at the end. To navigate between pages, click on the Pages button for your that'll open up the Pages panel. Or if this isn't here, Window and go to Pages. And again, Window is always in alphabetical order. And that will allow me to double click and navigate between all of my different pages. To bring in images, it's fairly straightforward. You can either drag and drop your images in, or you can use the File menu. So I can go to File and Place. So this is a little bit different than using than saying File and Import in some other programs. Here it's Place, or Control or Command D. And when you open it up, I'm going to go to my examples, go to my links, and here I will find my one for Slappy. And notice that it's attached to my mouse, right, as I'm going around. And I can click, and notice it puts it inside my image, or inside my frame here. Now, one thing that's a little confusing with InDesign is if I try and shrink down my image, and I'm going to hold down Shift to stay proportional, notice that it crops my image. In InDesign, it creates a frame around your image and the actual image inside. So the frame is blue, and if I double click, notice there's this brown little outside, and if I hold down Shift there, that is my inside image of my actual image. So I'm going to Control Z just so I can get back. So if I want to resize my image to be inside my frame, I have two options. One, with my Move tool or the letter V, I can drag this up and make it match. And that worked out pretty well because this one has a white background and it's pretty straightforward. Or if I want to resize my whole image, this tool is the Free Transform tool. And this allows you to scale your images fairly easily. I'm going to click on it, hold down Shift, and then click and drag. And that's going to resize my image inside my page. Now you want to make your image as big as possible so that way you can see everything there. Once you're done, press V to go back to your Move tool, or click up here, and again, I can put that there. So you have a lot of control using the Free Transform tool and the Move tool. One thing that sometimes happens, if you have something selected already and you go to File and Place, and I'm going to bring in Slappy again, notice it put my image inside the box that was there. So if I don't want that to happen, make sure nothing's selected, or an easy way to get out of this is Edit and Undo, or Control Z. And then you'll see it's attached to my image here. The reason it's the same size is I made this the same size as my document, which is 11 by 17. Now, the other thing to look at this is we have pages, which are all our different pages, but just like any design program, we have layers. And so if I click here, this is going to show me the layer for this particular page. So whatever page you're on will show you those layers. So I can go to click here, it'll show you which one's selected, and I can drag this behind everything. So just like in Photoshop or Illustrator, you have layers that you can work within, just so you can see how to structure your the objects on your screen. One more thing to consider is InDesign will auto-update with your linked files. So if I bring in my file, and I'm just going to drag and drop one into here. Let's go to Stefan Wolf, and if I click and drag, well, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to bring in a different one. If I go to this one, well, brought in both, so you can drag in multiple. So I want this one with the blue background. So again, I can place it here, and since it's sized relatively close, I can bring this up, drag this down here, drag this to there. But say, for example, I don't want this blue background. I want to be able to have the white background come through. I can edit my image to get rid of this background. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to select my image, and then right click and go to Edit With, and I'm going to edit with Photoshop. And that will open it up in Photoshop. And if I go to my window and layers, which are, sorry, my layers are on this window. If I turn off my background and I go to File and Save, now when I go back to InDesign, it'll auto update. So this is great if I needed to make any changes to my characters. If I was looking at this and I said, you know, actually I do want that blue, but I want a new layer and I want everything that's here to be, I want actually Command T, right? I want these blue outlines, or I want this sort of thing, right? I want my white outlines, and I do Control S to save it. Now I'll see a little icon up here that's an exclamation point. If I click on it, it'll update. So you have some options where you can work simultaneously on both things. Lastly, if you want to change the font, you can select the box. I'm holding down Shift to select both, go to my type tool, and here I can type in a new font, or I can search and see, okay, maybe I want this one. And that will show me my selections inside there. Now, as I'm looking at this, notice that I'm getting a warning saying that there's no italic for this. There's just regular, so you could go in and change that. It's fine to not have it italicized. Let's hold the Shift, go back to my type. You can even do the down arrow to see different versions. And one other thing you can do is you can also filter. So let's go down here. I'm going to zoom in, go over here, select this, go back to my type tool. If I twirl this down, I can go to the filters and say I want a calligraphic font. This is going to show me all the fonts on my computer that are calligraphy. And you want to make sure, if you're doing something like this, that it is legible. Sometimes these get a little bit less than legible, but maybe, right, that is a little bit too thin and narrow. That one's still readable. All right, and then, all right, glorious. And you just want to make sure everything is consistent as you're going through this. To change the color of a box, you can select it, double click, and you'll see your box pop up. And notice that here, now I can't read my text, so I might want to select my text, holding down Shift, going to my type tool, and up here I will see my type. This is one note is, this is formatting the container. This will format the text. So I can double click here and maybe I go to something darker, and that now pops on my image. So again, for shapes and for text. And that looks better than, than the light colored text on here. You always want to be thinking about contrast. One other quick note is if you're looking at this, it looks like low res, and that's because that's a preview. If you right click on the image, display performance, and high quality display, it gets to higher res. Up here, this one is already a higher res image. When you export it, it would look totally fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what settings you have in here, it won't affect the output. To export, it's easy. Make sure all of your pages are correct. So again, click on through all of them, make sure everything looks good, and then go to File and Export. And now if you go to, this is inside that same folder, I'm going to do JR character design v1, and then you can just hit save, and then all of the settings, actually, oops, I had it set to interactive PDF. If you go File, Export, we just want a print PDF, so save as file type print. There we go. Again, JR, character design, v1. It wouldn't matter if you did interactive, it doesn't matter, but if you were embedding something like hyperlinks, you would want to choose interactive. But I'm going to choose print and then save. And then this is the dialog box that you want. Everything here can stay the same. The one thing I would suggest having on is view PDF after exporting, just to double check it looks right. And then you say export. And then we see our beautiful PDF with our images. I only put 2 in, but it feels very consistent as I'm looking at it. Finally, to transfer your files between computers. So InDesign, if I were to save this and send it to myself across multiple computers, it would not bring along this file because it is a linked file. Linked files only exist outside on your computer. So what you can do is if you go to File and Package, this will bring all of your files together in one folder and your InDesign file. So File and Package, and then you can keep everything here the same. Go to Package, and it's going to ask you where you want to save it. I'm going to save it just in that folder I was working in, and InDesign character JR v1, and say open, and then it's going to bring everything together. So if I look at that folder that I was just working within, it was just right here, InDesign character JR v1, and you'll see there should be 2 files in here, Slappy and the Steppenwolf, because those were the ones that I imported. And you'll see that the file, it says InDesign character template blank because that's what I had here. And you would choose the InDesign document. To send this to yourself, right click, and if you're on a Mac, do compress. If you're on a PC, send to and compressed. And then that will email it to yourself. So this is a quick overview on how to use this template. Hopefully it's helpful. If you have questions, email me, reach out, and can't wait to see your final images.